Yo, what's going on, guys? Koi here. I'm going to be doing this new player guide for everyone because I think it's appropriate to do like an updated new player guide every year for like certain games. And I think this game freaking has a major lack of content, honestly. At least content that makes sense. I think the only content I've seen that's like kind of up to date is like people reacting to news about this game, but there's no one actually like I haven't seen anyone actually cover it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into it. So first things first, as a new player and everything like that, I'm gonna give you all the information from the Trello to pretty much all the information about this Christmas update, what's gonna be relevant now compared to what's gonna be relevant in the future, and what is gonna be the best stuff that you could possibly obtain compared to the stuff that is always obtainable. So let's talk about it. First things first, you're going to end up spawning at Dawn Island. I'm going to be going through like a quick summary of what Dawn Island actually is. This is kind of the home base of what a lot of the main stuff you're going to be using is going to be like kind of showing you what's noticeable. So first things first, there are going to be pickable items off the ground that you can get, such as hockey rerolls, race rerolls. You can pretty much get anything from the ground. It is totally possible, and you might even see a hacker or two if those still exist around here. These red dudes are considered the merchant. These are dudes that you sell your stuff to, and they give you gems in advance. We have shop owner right here, Beatrice. This is a devil fruit shop. You don't want to dump a bunch of gems into devil fruits, and I'll kind of show why. There's only one mythical fruit, and it's not even that good compared to a lot of the content in the game. There is a John Smith quest here where these guys, like these solo quest guys, you pick up their quest and they give you stuff depending on if you complete their quest and stuff like that. So that's very important that you actually do those if you plan on getting some easy-going abilities. Then there's some other different ones, like over here, Sukuna, who actually instead has a requirement. So, for instance, we're gonna end up using the Trello a lot for this because the Trello will tell you what's obtainable and what's not obtainable, and this just falls into that obtainable items category of the King of the Cursed Souls. Now, there is a Sukuna V2, but that's semi-obtainable. Now, the difference between stuff that's obtainable and semi-obtainable are actually very different because stuff that's unobtainable is very, very important to notice. For instance, stuff that is semi obtainable can still be got during any time of the year or during certain events during the year. Stuff that is not obtainable is stuff that only came around one time and it's never going to come back again. You get my drift? So you guys need to pay attention to those things. They are on the Trello, and that's very important. Gems are going to be your lifeblood for collecting abilities, and then once you get those abilities, pretty much your styles and weapons will be in these two categories in your bag. We'll talk more about the UI in just a moment, but as you can see, there are some items, and to equip these items, you actually need to make sure you don't have anything in your hand, or else you could end up messing up. And as you can see, I couldn't put the inverted spear on, but now that I put my staff away, now I can. Now I have the inverted spear out, as you can see. So, with that being the case, that also matters with the styles and stuff like that. As you can see, I have Sakuna Half Power, Nymph of the Frost, Hikari, Gojo, and Combat. We'll talk about the enchantments in a little bit. That might actually be its own video. I don't know. Because, yes, it makes sense, but yet again, it really just depends. Because there's a lot of information that I have to cover for you guys in the beginning. Sometimes you'll see an event guy. The event guy will always be here, and he'll be like a primary or secondary event guy who will sell you stuff depending on what's the event. So, for instance, this one, I talked about this exchange already in my other video. If you guys haven't seen that one, then totally check it out. But that event literally just has to do with the Christmas event. Exchange candy canes, get snowflakes back. Snowflakes count as currency, yada, yada, yada. Now, over here, as you can see, we do have group reward. This is probably one of the best swords in the game that you could possibly get in the early game. So if you are someone who does love swords, Yami's sword is definitely the best way to do it. Now, the reason I say that is because the group reward gives you a very solid sword that does amazing damage. I am using Miracle on this sword, but as you can see, my damage just like really, really good with this sword. There is a basic katana you can get, but honestly, it's not even that good and not even worth picking up compared to just going for the group reward. For those who just don't like joining groups, just leave the group after you join. All right. Don't forget to do your quests. After you do certain quests, you will unlock the next area on this teleporter. This teleporter is what's going to help you kind of get further and further into the game. Now, there is some stuff I don't want to go over because obviously there's just a lot of stuff in the game, and I just don't want to go over some of the stuff, such as what the armorer does and stuff like that, because this stuff is entirely different. Like, this is like, you need the spirit coyote, spirit sword. This is a completely different style of video I don't plan on doing. Unless you need me to, then I'll totally do it. But as of this moment, we need to talk about every island in the game. But I guess we should talk about stats first. So first things first, let's talk about the UI and stats. This is my health, this is my experience, these are my three things. You can only have one devil fruit, one fighting style, and one sword. But you can only max out two stats. So for instance, I max out defense and I max out weapon because that's the most obvious thing you can kind of go for. And it's just very, very powerful. You could do the same thing with melee if you have a good ability. You could do the same thing with devil fruit if there was a good devil fruit. But as of this moment, there is no good devil fruit. So yeah. Next, we have party. So if you do plan on not killing your friends, you can join this party. There you go. You have the thing that turns off the music, shows hitboxes, very, very important to me personally speaking. Shows accessories and effects. This is very important if you're someone who likes using certain weapons. For instance, if we talk about Theron's staff, um, as you can see, I can see the hitboxes, and the hitboxes are pretty big. Depending on like which one I'm using, you'll see the hitbox and then how big the hitbox is. That's very, very important to me because that lets me know if I'm going to end up hitting my target or not. You only need it on if you're plan on like wanting to know what your ability is and stuff. There is a trading system, but the trading system only works if you are trading with somebody who is only trading items. You can't trade specifically weapons. You can't trade styles. You can only trade items and sealed weapons. I'm showing you guys this one right here. This is Esdeath's rapier. I got it from the event and it is sealed. If I open it up, it's going to go into my sword slot. I'm not going to open it up because I don't have a reason to just yet. If you want me to showcase it, I'll totally open it up. But, like, that's only if this video gets very, very popular. Now, we'll talk more about items in a bit, but let's start discussing other things, such as the daily quests. Now, these daily quests, these are what give you shards. Shards give you the ability to go onto these banners. Now, these banners, by the way, they do need to fix this. If the developers watching this, you could get in a lot of trouble for not showing rates because of UK laws and other types of gambling laws. You kind of have to show the rates of what's available on these banners, but they don't do that yet. I don't know why they don't do that yet. That is kind of scary. But you could get possibly Ragnar Sword, Aqua Sword. Sometimes there's even like special event banners. Like I think I saw like something else in the past, like Sid's Sword or something. Maybe I'm tripping. But yeah, so, next is the shop. The shop just kind of like gives you basically everything that you kind of need, such as Death's Rapier. You can just straight up buy this thing. John Smith, you can buy that. Megami's staff, you can buy that. You can even gift it to people. Auto chests, just like race rolls, aristocrat gift, just like stuff like that. Very small stuff. Now let's talk about each island and what they're good for. Dawn Island is your starter island. Warrior's Retreat is very, very specifically only used for the Conquest game mode, so you won't really see anybody here or anything to do here, so don't worry about it. The Forgotten Isles is actually sometimes where bosses spawn. I think there is somebody who is over here who does like give you something if you yeah. Kiske, as you can see, talk to Kiske, and it's like for some type of quest, but obviously I'm not doing that quest. There's a lot of other NPCs like the brand new Pain NPC they just added to the game. As you can see, deviate from the path, but it'll cost you. Yes, let's say 125 stars. Yeah. So that's like the Pain quest line. So that stuff you need to pay attention to. But like that's in the Trello. We'll talk more about the Trello in a little bit. We have Ape Realm, which is going to be your second island to go to. Kind of like a nice touch here is that there is a Yoru that you can buy right here, but it's like 11 million, I think. 10 million. Yeah, it's like 10 million. So it's very important that you actually do that. And they actually do show off a few of the other ones here, such as the other shops. For instance, you could get your hockey here from Banana, from Busho hockey to Ken hockey. These are very, very important because Busho hockey obviously increases your damage. Ken hockey allows you to dodge melee and physical attacks. So, very, very important. Also, be careful because sometimes your hockey color can blind you. We do have the Grove. The Grove is where you will see all these small bosses spawn. These small bosses are pretty much like the starter boss for anybody who's trying to get into the game. They will drop a lot of the main stuff, but honestly, it's just a little good for EXP, maybe just one-time killing. There's another boss in Shark Island, Arlong. These bosses don't have a quest. They are just here as like chest spawns, so you guys can get free chests and stuff like that. These portals, I'd love to talk about these, but honestly, they're only kind of usable during events. For instance, bandit portals are useless because, like, if you're in the end game, there's no reason to go to a bandit portal. You're kind of like going to keep running around. Now, there is characters like Sans on this island for the Frost Island. You're going to keep leveling up. You're going to keep getting further into the game, and this is very important. It's important that you actually keep moving forward and making sure that you get to max level as soon as possible in order to make sure that you can keep up with everybody else. For instance, you can't compete in the brand new area if you can't do that. If you can't get to max level, you're not going to be able to compete. Over here, it's just a shop over here at the Crescent Isles. Yag. Yag is a nice little spot, honestly. This is where you could test your damage on dummies. As you can see, I did like 2.8 mil. And then let's see how much damage I do to players. As you can see, player damage is completely different than the original damage. There are some shop owners where you can buy like crappy stuff. This one is like a really nice spot though, because this is like where like a bunch of stuff actually spawns. This is the lab where you can store one of your races, pull another one out. For instance, I had a fishman stored in there. So yep. There's also like something up there, but I think that's like dedicated to something like the Trello or something like that. Honestly, I guess we could kind of go up here. Skip forward like 2 minutes if you don't want to see this part. We'll talk more about the lab. Oh, is that Indra? Oh, prototype. Want to share your energy with it too? I'm giving the tree some life energy. Would you like to share your life energy too? All right. I don't know what that did besides take away my EXP. All right. Well, as you can see, um, yeah, I don't know what that does, but it's probably in the Trello. Now back to the lab. Now the lab is where you can get that. Also, just a great place to like AFK farm just a bunch of items, like mostly event items, race rerolls, stuff like that. Let's see. I don't want to talk to you anymore. Now, what I do want to do is I do want to pop a race reroll because I did pick up a pure race reroll right there. Demon. Dang it. All right. Well, worth a shot. Anyways, but now let's go to the next area. Ah, ah, ah. All right, I'm just going to walk. All right, so as you can see, this is like a great indicator that like once you get to this point, like level 1250 is going to be your last part, where getting to max level like unlocks everything from the arena, Hueco Mundo, the Forgotten Shores, and Niflheim, which is where the final boss area is, and we will totally get there right after this jump cut. And we are back. The grind didn't take too long. Honestly, it only took a couple minutes. If you guys don't believe me, check up there on the time. You'll see on the server time it only takes a few minutes to get to max level. It's really not that hard. So, I mean, that's a W. I used Sakuna, obviously, to end up getting to these next areas. Let's talk about these next areas. Forgotten Shores. They do have something here. It's just a couple things, obviously, some styles, and then a shop over here. This shop mostly just has like a bunch of stuff, like very specific things that you can sell for prestige. Prestige is something that's a whole different system that I think needs to get covered in a different video. But if you guys want to know how many like points you have whenever it comes down to just different let's say events and stuff like that, but you don't know how to tell, right here would be the way to do it. So as you can see, my snowflakes are here, my prestige is here, my void waves are here. Um, I think that's void wave currency, prestige currency, how many prestiges I've done, Libra currency, stuff like that. Luck actually is a contender, and then I believe that's conquest currency. Yeah, so that's very very important. I mean, you can get some decent stuff from that, honestly. But uh, the events are kind of what you want, really, compared to just older stuff that's semi-obtainable. You kind of want the main obtainable stuff. Hueco Mundo. Now, Hueco Mundo is actually very crazy. Let's see. Hueco Mundo actually has multiple events that actually happens. It's like a few different events, honestly. I mean, there is one event that's here, which is the quest event. This quest event doesn't really stick out to me as much as others do. It's mostly for the Aizen and Harabel event. Harabel is the only character that's kind of here, and Aizen is another event where you have to kill a wrong cars, but he's not here either. So that's one of those semi-obtainable events that like you don't really need to worry about until you actually have to get here. So it's like very very niche to end up having to go to Hueco Mundo. They do drop a lot of chests though. Every Arrancar kill is a chest, which is amazing. You do have the arena where you could PvP with other people, which is very very useful whenever you're just trying to test stuff out with friends without losing any bounty. We have Niflheim. Now, this is where the bread and butter, the OGs, everybody and their mother is hanging out over here. This is where you have your endless mode. This is where you have your titles. This is where you have every shop in the game. This is where you have a lot of the best item drops, too. Pure race reroll right there. Let's go. This is also where you get the candy cane exchange, where you can actually exchange your candy canes for really cool stuff. And then you also have the chest seller over here who sells chests for gems, and just a bunch of other characters, including this guy who actually gives you very specific currencies, such as the you could get the limitless, but this is going to drop. Never really do this. This is going to drop more than anything. Um, Heart bags. These are like currencies that you can use to summon certain bosses, and then obviously the Gambler's Spirit, which is how you can get Hakari's fighting style. There are some like other ones like over here, but nothing really to worry about there. You could look at that stuff whenever you get the chance. There are portals that spawn here, but portals that spawn here, specifically during this event, portals for the Niflheim Christmas event are going to spawn here. So it's either going to be the Bandit portal or normal portals for, I think, what's it called? Um, Man, what is it called? Yeah, I'm trying to remember Yawatch's home base. I think it's like Jotunheim or something like that. I forgot what it's called, honestly. But yeah, so I'm going to showcase exactly what you do in this scenario whenever you get over here. So as you can see, there is a whole area that you could kind of go to right now. And this area is kind of like the end game of all end games, where you kind of get your items and you exchange certain items in order to fight certain bosses. Let's say Infinity Orb, as you can see, and these are some of the strongest raid bosses in the game. As you can see here, this is going to be Gojo. He's going to pop Infinity. No, he's not. Okay, he's going to let me kill him. Nope, he popped Infinity. As you can see, these bosses are nothing to scoff at. I am using Furin's staff, so it is like one of the most powerful items in the game. So yeah, I did die because I also changed my HP like last second. These guys don't despawn, by the way. They just they stay there until someone defeats them, and you can stack bosses. Sometimes if it's like an event boss or anything like that. As you can see, they drop a bunch of chests. They also have a high chance to drop some of the more luxury items in the game, such as Gojo dropping the True Six Eyes, Sukuna dropping a couple items specifically for that event too. But let's talk about some of the world spawns now. Now that we're kind of getting into that boss category. So world spawns are certain bosses that do spawn in the world. We've talked about a few of them already, such as the Grove, Shark Island, stuff like that. But there are event-specific world spawns. Like, for instance, Niflheim do spawn here. But there are others that spawn around, such as if we go to the Forgotten Isles, you will see that Ichigo was here. He is disappeared now because obviously it took way too long. and he despawned, and now it's kind of getting ready for the next dude to spawn. And then if Hueco Mundo, like I said, this character is incredibly specific, and these dudes just fight each other the entire time, so it's not really that important to go for. Ow. I mean, world bosses are world bosses no matter what. It really just depends on if you're really going to go for them or not. If they're useful to you, if they're like worth fighting, then sure. But 9 times out of 10, it really just depends on what you're focusing on. Now I kind of want to jump to the Trello now. After this fight, I kind of want to jump to the Trello so you guys can take a look at exactly what I'm talking about. Whenever it comes down to just a lot of the mainline stuff. All right, let's go to Niflheim, and I'm going to go ahead and open up the Trello for you guys and stuff like that. Let's see, second piece. Oh, crap. I didn't open it right. Second piece. Open up this. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and just switch screens. It's better than doing a jump cut. All right, there we go. So I have the Trello here where we could talk about some of the stuff, some of the mainline stuff, especially some of the main items that you can go for, such as the obtainables and stuff. Do not look at these tier lists. These tier lists make no sense. For instance, Gaybolg doesn't do anything. It's absolutely trash. I don't know if it got nerfed or something, but it's trash. Yami's nice where it's at, but it doesn't compare to a lot of the weapons that are up here. Same thing with Los Lobos. Los Lobos actually loses a damage check to Yami. So it doesn't really make any sense. I low-key want to do my own tier list, but I would love to see some of the items as we kind of get into it. But, this is where you can see your NPCs, your shops, everything, your generic items, which will tell you about like all the items in the game, what they're used for and stuff like that. For instance, heart bag, it could be bought, yada yada. Uh, King of the Cursed Soul, give this to Sukuna, drop chance from chest items. Over here, stuff like that. Have Sukuna V1. And then we could talk about they always put up the new specs too, which is like Nymph of Frost, Candy Rapier, Esdeath's Rapier, Yawatch's Sword. Very nice. The fruits, obviously, there's only one mythical fruit, and it's not even worth going for because the rates are so low for fruits. Fighting styles, remember this. There's going to be like obtainable fighting styles. All of them are here. These are all obtainable. Now, I'm surprised that Oko Run is actually still obtainable, but it is what it is. I believe this is obtained from Oko Run. So I mean, it is cool. There are some that are not obtainable, and I think where's that little obtainable, not obtainable, semi-obtainable? Where's that little category? Oh, I think it was back here. I think it was back here actually. New stuff. Uh, no, I think it's over here. Items. Sword related. Other items. Oh, my bad. It's right here. Obtainable, semi-obtainable. Okay, here we go. Uh, it'll tell you if it's obtainable or not obtainable. Unobtainable, right here, as you can see. The Eminent Shadow Orb is not obtainable. Gon Fishing Bait, unobtainable. Sealed Rimuru Sword, unobtainable at the moment. Ichigo Sword, obtainable. Not the sealed version, though. The sealed version's not obtainable, but you can get Ichigo Sword from the event. So you get my drift. Like, these are some things you need to pay attention to because a lot of this stuff is unobtainable, semi-obtainable, unobtainable. The Stark items unobtainable right now. The Honored One's Limitless unobtainable. That was the V2. Now V3, Six Eyes, unobtainable. Because now there's another one which is I think it's the True Six Eyes. The True Six Eyes is very important. Megami Soul unobtainable. So it's a lot of stuff that's like unobtainable right now. Semi-obtainable is the Inverted Spear. Sealed Firmament Staff, semi-obtainable. See how it says like semi-obtainable? Spirit Gun, semi-obtainable. Can be gotten from all 3 items. But the thing is right here, the sealed version's not obtainable. It doesn't say appropriately here where it's obtainable because it's obtainable from this event, this Christmas event specifically. So that's very important that you actually understand that bit, because if you don't understand what's obtainable now, you're not going to understand what's obtainable later, or what's not going to be obtainable after certain events are gone and stuff like that. So yeah. So do take a look at that stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll send the Trello, everything else down below. See you guys later. Take it easy and peace.